Welcome to this week's show, the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, the Crazy Gentleman, and the intro this week is real quick. Today's guest is Liam Kennedy, also known as Chopper Chug on Instagram. Liam is a really interesting guy. He is a photographic journalist. He's probably going to kill me for that. However you say it, he's a journalist and a photographer. He explains it much better than I can. But that's who he is, man. He's a really rad kid, way into choppers, and he's no offense to all the other photographers I know, but he dives hard, man. This kid is really, really, really passionate about journalism and his photography career. It was really cool getting to spend the afternoon with him. And also checking his bikes out. Just want to say thank you so much, Liam. And thanks, Dump Truck, for introducing us. Yeah, it was a cool little time in Nashville. This would be the last episode from my 3-week Nashville trip, or Tennessee trip, I should say. I was kind of all over Tennessee. Last week, you got John Jessup in East Tennessee, and this week you're getting Liam in Nashville. But also I wanted to make this introduction to talk about the 100th episode coming up. This episode right now is number 91, but I figured I'd start ramping into it. This is brought to you by Simbita Custom Knives. Simbita_custom_knives on Instagram. Go check out Evan. You could also go to SimbitaCustomKnives.com. I don't know if I just said that or not. I don't know. Fucking spaced out, dude. It's like 11 o'clock at night and fucking shot. Still in work clothes and I still got to go to work. Anyways, go get yourself a custom knife from Evan, like this little guy, or you can get this big guy. I don't have the other one, my absolute favorite from him, because that's with all my hunting stuff upstate. But next episode, I'll showcase that one. Also, Bare Knuckle Performance, bareknuckleperformance.com, for all of the highest quality made in America parts for your Harley Davidson. All models, check him out. He also does Indian stuff now too. I'm going to talk to these people and try and get something on board for the 100th. But, and also the Bump Shop Diaries, bumpshopbackroom.com for any of your Crazy Gentleman merch. And all of Evo Jesus's awesome vintage finds. Also, Lexan-moto.com for all of the best audio and communication devices inside your helmet for a high-quality enhanced riding experience. And punch in the code word CRAZY for 15% off. Now, to get back to that 100th episode thing. First person on board and a new sponsor of the podcast is Kenny's House of Horsepower in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's throwing down $1,000 for the 100th episode. Stipulations are one very simple stipulation. You have to be a Patreon member. I think I barely have 10 Patreon members right now. So your chances currently, if you are a member, are very, very good. You have to be a member by the 100th episode. Like I said, this is episode 91. You have 9 weeks to become a member. Go be a member. There's going to be tons of other giveaways. I've already done a raffle where it's buy one, get one. I'm currently still raffling my 2000 twin-cammed FXR4. That is also buy one, get one free for Patreon members. Please go sign up. Also, before this 100th episode, I will have more people on board. I never wanted to overpromise and underdeliver. But This is the third thing that is being given away for Patreon members, third perk or whatever. Also, if you're a business and you want to sponsor the podcast, jump on board. Go on Patreon. Jump on there. Give me a call. Shoot me a DM. Get in touch with me. Let's talk about it. You can get involved however you want. I'm flexible to all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I want to do something even more special, like to the point where who knows who the hell's going to get on board, even for a one-shot kind of deal for this 100th episode. But I kind of want to give a lot of stuff away, even if it's just like t-shirts and stickers from sponsors and all that. I have not even talked to any of these sponsors about this yet. Kenny's the first guy I spoke to. But before next week's show, I am going to be contacting a lot more people about something simple. Maybe it's a gift card. Maybe it's a free particular part. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't ask anything personally of these sponsors. Anything that they want to give, I want to just give it all back to you guys. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say about that. But please go jump on board, man. And if you don't jump on board as a Patreon, please, whatever platform you're listening to on, give me a good rating. Like, subscribe, give me 5 stars. Give me whatever stars you think I'm worth. But any good rating helps. Gets me in the search algorithm. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Please like, comment, whatever you do. Go on there, do it. But also, seriously, the YouTube subscription is another big deal. Just subscribe to it. It's free. Anyone can do that. But that also helps in my journey toward monetization. Like I said, I'm not really taking anything from this. Whatever I get goes back to you guys. From the beginning, I promise that I'll somehow deliver on stuff, and I think $1,000 is a pretty good start. And buy one, get one on $100 raffle tickets. Like, potentially you could win a twin cam FXR4 that is absolutely fucking gorgeous, with a crazy ass twin cam in it. It's a sick freaking bike. You can win that for $100, and buy one, get one on that. You could potentially win that and $1,000 for like nothing, dude. It starts at $5 a month. The last kid won a fucking 113 S&S for $50. I mean, it's pretty sick. I don't know anyone else out there doing this with, let's be honest, with such a little following. I'm definitely a small fish in this big pond, that's giving away this much stuff, that's bringing this much to the table. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Go. I think it's a good deal. And I wish everyone the best of luck that gets in on this. Because I'm pretty thrilled, man. I think I can't wait to give it all away at this 100th episode. Whatever I drum up. I'm hoping by the 100th episode, too, I could do the drawing on this bike. I've been really quiet about the bike. I only made one post about it. But I'm going to be, this is my last weekend away in the woods, and I'm just going to be home and just doing more local podcasts or whatever I could do in 1 or 2 days travel, like whether it's a car trip or a fly. It's nothing crazy. I'm going to be laying low until Mama Tried. That's the next like big thing I'm flying to. So I don't know, man. I'm hoping by this 100th I could give it all away. Give a fucking bike away. Give the $1,000 away. See what else, whoever else wants to bring something to the table. I don't know, man. I'm going to be making those phone calls this week. We'll see. But have at it, man. I wish you guys all the best of luck, and enjoy Liam. He'll set the record straight on what his actual title is, because I am definitely screwing that up. Enjoy. See you guys next week. Thanks so much for your support, too. It's crazy that we're coming up on 100 episodes here. See ya. We're fucking live on YouTube here. I don't do any editing too, so keep that in mind. Unless I fucking have to. Cool. Cool, man. We're fucking live at 5 here. Yeah, dude, Liam Kennedy.
It's me.
You want to cut to the chase and tell people who you are and what you're all about?
So my name's Liam Kennedy. I'm 30 years old. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am a full-time photographer and photojournalist and documentary photographer.
Awesome. That was pretty to the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
You said you're from Indiana.
Yeah. I moved all around the country as a child, and I ended up in Indiana, and then I joined the military and ended up all over the world. And then I got out in March of 2020, March 26, 2020, my last day, as the literal world shut down.
Talk about timing.
Yeah. So I got to party for a whole year.
Cool.
And the whole 2 years without really having a job. And
did you plan on, when you got out, taking off? Like, and just having a year to yourself?
I was living in Virginia at the time. And honestly, I wanted to move to Richmond. Lots of love for Virginia, Richmond area. I was born on the East Coast, and I lived in the East Coast, and my parents are from the East Coast, so the East Coast is home to me, really. Mm-hmm. But you know, I was talking to this woman at the time, and she lived in Seattle, so, you know, I left for Seattle, but, you know, by the time I got here, which was literally one day later, all of Seattle was shut down because of COVID, and nobody knew what was going on. And I showed up to my buddy Christian Wren's house with 5 tall cans, because one burst on my sissy bar. And he convinced me to stay this summer in Nashville, which turned into getting a job at a bar here, which turned into getting a journalism job here, which turned into buying a house here.
Right.
So I moved into the house that I bought on the 3-year anniversary of moving to Nashville.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But your photojournalism journey started before that in the military, right?
Yeah. I was a combat camera in the Navy.
Wait, that's what you did for the Navy too?
Yeah. I was
I didn't even know they did that. Like,
yeah,
that was a job.
Somebody's got to do the propaganda, baby.
Right.
But the idea is that you tell the Navy story. That's the whole shtick,
okay.
Right? And so I joined the Navy when I was a junior in high school. I signed up for the Navy because I was getting in a lot of trouble as a kid, and my parents didn't know what to do with me, and my dad was a Navy recruiter for a long time and was in the Navy for 8 years as well. So they sent my ass to the military, and then 3 weeks after I graduated high school, I left the military. I wanted to do video originally because I grew up as a skateboard videographer. I filmed for some companies growing up, and I was sponsored by the local skate shop, and Navy absolutely ruined my love for video.
Okay.
So but I found out that I was really great at making pictures. So I delved really heavy into that. And when I fell in love with journalism was when I was on my first deployment. We were in Hong Kong. We had been there for 24 hours, and we got recalled to the boat because there was a typhoon in the Philippines. Typhoon Haiyan happened in 2013 on the island of Gion, in the city of Gion. Can't remember if that's the island or the city, but it was on Gion, and it was fucking horrible, man. And it was
Where did they send you guys for safety?
I was on an aircraft carrier. I was on the USS George Washington.
While the whole fucking storm was
going
on.
Yeah, but in Hong Kong we weren't feeling it. So we went to the aftermath to support, to give supplies, water, you know, clothing, like whatever we could do, food. And I went up to my assistant public affairs officer and was like, I want Lieutenant Derek Ingle, and I said, I want to go down there. I want to go and photograph. I want to do this. I didn't really know what I was asking, but like I went there and made good photos, and I was like, wow, this is, you know, I was the first photographer on the ground. So I felt like I actually did something to help these people, because therefore CNN, Fox News, New York Times, MSNBC, my photos went all over the world.
Really?
Yeah.
So the way that works would be you get first crack at it before even those news networks show up?
Well, because the island, we had a classified air base there that we had to declassify once it happened, that we had used during World War II. So they weren't allowing any other news organizations in within the first 24 hours.
Okay.
I'm military, so therefore I was allowed to go there. I was allowed to be on those lines. At least that's how I understand it, and I could be wrong, but that's how I understood it at the time.
Okay.
And it was a big deal, and those photos were a big deal, and I won awards for those photos and yada yada yada. But I could give a fuck less about that. But what I cared about was that I felt like I did something to help.
Okay.
Outside of my duties of being in the Navy. And I quickly made like second class. I got accepted to this program called the Syracuse Photojournalism Program through the military that was set up originally by John F. Kennedy in the 60s, where we send 2 to 3 from each branch of our best photographers to Syracuse University in upstate New York to learn photojournalism. You take the uniform off for a year.
Wow.
And you're still paid at your rank. You're paid housing allowance. You're paid to be a student.
Right.
But you're working alongside some of the best in the industry. For instance, one of my professors was Gregory Heisler, who has 70 covers for Time magazine.
Wow. That's wild.
Like, shit like that.
And was that your first time actually getting like a formal education in
yes.
photography, journalism?
Well, no. So you have to go through a 6-month school, which is now 7 months. And you have to learn Associated Press writing style. You have to learn photography basics. You have to learn video basics. You have to learn graphic design, web design, video editing. You have to learn a lot of shit.
Okay.
And it's like a 40% fail rate from that school.
Wow.
Like, it's pretty high for just a basic school.
Mm-hmm.
That's called an A school. And if you graduate that, then you would go what's called the fleet. You go out into the fleet with your rank. I was a mass communication specialist seaman is what my rank was. MCSN. Gotcha. So I get there. I make 3rd class first time. And then, so I made 3rd class in 2 years. Or I made 2nd class in 2 years, which is hard. And then I stayed there or 3 years, and then I stayed there for the next 5.
Okay.
Because my 1st class and above is really hard to get to.
Okay.
All the people I was in with are now chiefs, senior chiefs, kind of deal.
Did you consider doing a full career?
No.
Okay.
Max I want to do is 8 years, but I had a lot of surgeries to my leg.
Okay.
From injuries sustained in the Navy as well as injuries sustained skateboarding.
Okay.
Obviously, the skateboarding ones were insidious injuries, or what they call them, so they form over time. But the Navy made it worse. It exacerbated those. Where I had to go on a full deployment with a torn ACL.
Wow.
Which therefore led to me having to get a surgery for that, which led to needing a hip surgery, where I'll need a hip replacement in the next 10 years. Kind of deal. And I'm 30 years old.
Wow.
So I was medically discharged from the military, and that was my end of my career.
Okay. Damn, dude.
So I actually didn't have a choice
to
stay in or not.
Wow. So where did motorcycles interject? Like, if we're out of the Navy now.
No, so motorcycles happened in the Navy. No, motorcycles happened in the Navy.
Okay.
So I had met this guy named Sean Minea, who introduced me. This is gonna sound so fucking insane. Sons of Anarchy. I didn't know anything about motorcycles, and I was like, wow, this show's kind of cool. I was fucking 20 years old,
right?
And I didn't know shit. I grew up in a cornfield, so I'm like, okay, like this is kind of cool. But growing up, skateboarding, I was introduced to Rick Swadner and Ben Jeff in Fort Wayne. I would go there skateboarding all the time, and I remember when I was like 18 or 19, I went to Rick's shop and saw what a chopper was. So I knew what choppers were. I rode around on iron heads and stuff like that, and I had like this idea of that. But then I was living in Japan at the time, so I was like very homesick for something, and motorcycles was the most American thing I could really like think about. And it was just a thought at that time. I never bought one. And I moved to San Diego.
Okay.
And I'm on a deployment, and I met this guy named Norm. And Norm got me into choppers.
Okay. And
Norm and I talked a lot about it. And Norm and I would discuss and look at bikes, and he showed me Paco's website, and he showed me a bunch of different bikes, and Chop Cult is what he introduced me to.
Okay. What is Norm anyone of notoriety, or was he just a random guy that was into
Random
choppers?
guy who was just into choppers, and he worked he was a culinary specialist, and he worked in the officers' mess, so I got to get fed really good, and and we just like hung out all the fucking time, and we'd go on Liberty together, and he was just my boy while I was in.
Cool, man.
I haven't talked to him in a really long time. I don't know where he's at.
Well,
he's not an internet guy.
Maybe he'll be watching this. Not an internet guy.
Not an internet guy.
Okay.
I don't know.
You never know. Norm, hit him up.
Yeah. Crazy bastard. And then it slowly devolved from there, like looking at Chop Coal a lot, and then getting into Dice Magazine, and then seeing 21 Days Under the Sky. And then, I had this crazy, like, long ironhead chopper at the time that I bought after a deployment, and I didn't know shit all about it. And the first person I meet is Tatro in San Diego. It's the first person that I'm introduced to, which I don't know if you know who Tatro is.
No, I thought at first when you said that name it was someone else, but I don't know.
He is a god for a lot of people who love ironheads. He holds a land speed record for a single cylinder ironhead.
Really?
500cc ironhead. He holds a land speed record at Bonneville.
Wow.
Just crusty old bastard, famous YouTube guy, because he shows you how to fix everything. So I'd have to go to a shop and I'd hold cameras, and he'd yell at me the whole time and tell me what I was doing wrong, and he'd fix my bike, and he'd give me good discounts, and he'd just help me out. And he just showed me the way.
Okay.
So that's how I got really deep into this shit.
Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, you dove deep. We could touch back on that, man, but like one of the things I wanted to ask you about was what was the real spark of interest for you to start traveling the world as I keep wanting to, in my head I'm thinking citizen, but what the fuck do they call it when you're not enlisted anymore?
A civilian?
A civilian, not a citizen.
Well,
yeah, like because you did a lot of these overseas things, and didn't you go to the Middle East or Ukraine and do your own thing? Right.
Yeah, I went. When the war happened, I went with a friend over to Ukraine and photographed.
How was that, man?
It'd be hard to discuss it in any sort of context because it's like nothing that you've ever experienced. It's full out war, and it's awful, and it's truly fucking terrible. And what makes me angry is when people think it's fake. Right. Because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen women who are my mom's age, who are fucking in basements and eating out of whatever fucking rations they had left. And, and it's really just a shame that the sovereignty of another nation could be, politics aside, the sovereignty of another nation could be so brutally invaded and disregarded. Like what would happen if you think that fucking Mexico just invaded Texas tomorrow? Right. What would you think if out of nowhere another state invaded another state? Right. Or another country, Canada, came down and invaded us? What would people do? What would you do? Right. Politics aside.
Right.
And beyond that, like, I'm really grateful for the experience. I want to go again, and I was able to tell some really beautiful stories, and I was really able to make some beautiful photographs that I think really helped. It was actually one of my photographs is featured in the book Ukraine, a War Crime, published by Photo Evidence.
Cool.
That's with an F, so Photo Evidence. Svetlana, just beautiful person all around, and editor Sarah Lean from Nat Geo created the book and published it. And awesome. All the photographers collectively won Book of the Year award.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I feel like they got that out real quick too.
Less than a year. It took a year. So
wow.
It was a lot of footwork on their end, and I have the book inside. I'll show you. It's beautiful.
Cool, man. What other bigger books, let's say, besides magazines? You've been in Dice and tons of magazines. But what other bigger books have you been published in? So
I've been published in a lot. That's my first book per se that I've been published in.
Uh-huh.
I've done zines and stuff like that with one of my buddies, Warren, and but I've been published in a lot of news publications. I worked for Gannett, which is USA Today network.
Okay.
So I've been published in USA Today. I've been published in Tennessee, and I've been published in some smaller local papers. Also have been published by like CNN, published by World News Tonight, been published by Mother Jones magazine. What else? Bloomberg, you name it. So I've been published by a lot of different people.
I didn't realize the scope of all of, like, the diversity of magazines you've been in.
Yeah.
I just always think motorcycles when I think you know?
Motorcycles are what I'm passionate about, but it's not what pays my bills. I do commercial work. I've done commercial work for like Ralph Lauren and stuff like that, and a bunch of other little things here and there. You know, I'll really whatever pays the bills, man. Like I've acted in commercials and I've photographed on commercials and et cetera, et cetera. So really when it comes to motorcycles, for the last 8 years, I've been working on a book called Shakedown, where I've traveled on my blue bike. I traveled 60,000 miles across the United States photographing and documenting. And I'm finally starting to design the book with this beautiful designer named Bonnie Bryant, who's one of the top designers in America right now for photo books. She's worked with Magnum Foundation, and she's worked with your photographer's favorite photographer kind of deal. Just amazing work. And she does freelance work now. So that's where I'm at with that, and we're hoping to go to find a publication who will back us. We've been in talks with several, but we're finding one that's going to be excited about the project the way me and my agent are excited about the project.
Cool, man. Is she also based in Nashville? Or?
She's based in New York City.
Okay. That seems to be where like all of the big publishers are, right? New York City is kind of
rock bed for culture, basically. Yeah, it's the hotbed for that kind of stuff. There just is more of a market there. There's a lot of nuances that I don't really understand, but a lot of publishers seem to be either out of New York, and there's not everyone. Like I'm more aiming towards like European and Japanese publishers as well, because of the Americana side of what I do. But we'll see. Just want to find someone who's excited about it as we are. That's all.
Have you ever lived in New York?
I lived in upstate New York when I was a child. I lived in this place called Florida, New York.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where that is. It's Orange County.
You're the only person I've ever met that actually knows where that is. But
I've kind of
I lived there when I was
my whole life.
I lived there when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then so I grew up down the street from Orange County Choppers.
Yeah.
And then I went to school at Syracuse University. But other than that, I'd probably never live in New York City if I could help it. It's not my thing.
Okay. Yeah, I figured maybe as a younger guy, maybe
my younger years went to
as a photographer.
No, my younger years went to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So,
how, and you said 2020 is when you got out, so you've been out for
3 years.
A few years now.
3 years.
Cool, man.
Yep.
Yo, get back to that book though. 60,000 miles on that fucking chopper.
Yeah.
Any like highlights, lowlights, like has this been a childhood dream or
no? I was never into bikes as a kid.
I mean, making a book.
Oh no! It started when I was like in my early 20s when I found out you could do that, and then recently, you know, I've studied under people like Ed Kashi and Alex Webb and James Estrin and like some really incredible photographers and some incredible bookmakers. You know, I've had the privilege of being able to study under, and you know, like I want to make an indelible mark on the world, and I want to put out work there. I think the reason why I love motorcycles so much is that they're physical. You put on this physical thing into the world that therefore now you have to take care of, and you become a steward of, and then somebody else takes care of it and becomes a steward of it, and hopefully it passes down through generations, like Dougie's bike, one of the original Hells Angels. That's the dream. That's what I love, and I think photo books for me are equally as important because it is a physical thing you're putting out in the world that somebody will display proudly in their home.
Right.
Or it's a physical thing that somebody can flip through and gain inspiration for their own life, or gain style tips, or gain something of value to their life out of art. Art is so incredibly important, and that's why choppers are so incredibly important, because they're an art form, you know?
Yeah, it's my favorite art form.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. But also the photo thing, man. I mean, no offense to the videographers or anything. I mean, I'm doing a video now, but like, man, the older I get, the more I just appreciate the value of quality photography and photojournalism.
Right.
It's I don't know, man. It's one of my favorites next to
Yeah.
motorcycles. The older I get, I start
Right.
I'm starting to dive into this.
Right,
You
you
know?
gain a greater appreciation, and it's so much deeper than just like a lot of people say like they take photos, they shoot photos, whatever. I say I make images, and that sounds pretentious until you really start valuing it as something that you're creating.
Right.
When you frame up your image, when you're looking through your viewfinder and choosing your background, choosing your subjects, photographing, listening to what that person is telling you, and then photographing in an honest way that is represents who and what you're photographing. Editing your photos, and that doesn't mean like in Lightroom or Photoshop. That's not what editing means in my world. What it means is selecting images that play off of each other to create the story. So you come back with 500 images. How do you choose those 10 images that are going to make a mark?
Right.
How
do you curate that to the
How
world?
do you, right. And there's a lot of ideas, but the more you do it, the better you get. You know, you don't choose the same shot over and over again. You move it. You want people to have to adjust their eyes, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So I think that's what's so beautiful about photography for me, is that there is no way where I could be stagnant. I have to continue improving. I have to continue getting better. There's so much to learn.
And that's an art form also that you could spend a lifetime evolving, and there's never any like finish line per se.
Right.
It's just a constant evolution.
Well, it's beautiful to see people like Martin Parr, who's one of my favorite photographers. He's been photographing since what, 60s, maybe earlier.
Right.
I mean, he's still photographing today. He's still working on projects today. Like, that's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
You have all these really incredible photographers outside of motorcycles that I think if people looked into, it would just elevate their creativity even more.
Right.
You know.
Do you feel like when you travel around the world and there's a communication barrier, like in the Ukraine, you're not speaking their language,
right,
that I know of? Do you
no,
speak any
I
other
don't.
languages?
I don't speak any. I don't speak Ukrainian or Russian. I speak a tiny bit of German, and I speak like 3 sentences of Japanese. But because I studied in Germany as a kid, I was an exchange student in high school, and then I lived in Japan for 2 years.
Right.
So.
Or like Japan is another example. Like I just did a podcast, not even out yet, but with 3 guys from Japan. You probably know one of them, Steel Dog Photography.
Yeah, I know of Steel Dog. Yeah.
Yeah. He was one of the guys, but when you're trying to, let's just say, create your art or whatever to show the world, what do you encounter like in terms of communication barrier? Like, how do you fucking tell someone? Just like, I don't know. I just picture coming in there as a photographer and you're trying to communicate with these people like what you want, but you don't speak the language. Or does the camera break that barrier?
No, well,
do people kind of know?
So I grew up skateboarding and traveling a lot for skateboarding within the United States. And then when I left the United States for like, I was in Germany, but I didn't have my skateboard with me. But so when I was in Japan, for instance, if I went to a skate park, we all could communicate in a way because we skateboarded.
Right.
And that really taught me a lot of lessons. Learning how to communicate with people without speaking their language is possible. Phones still work.
Right.
You can translate loosely off of there. I have conversations through people with my phone. I've hired translators before.
No shit.
Yeah, you hire people.
When you went to the Ukraine, did you have a translator with you?
I would hire fixers, is what they're called. Fixers or collaborators or production assistants, however you want to phrase it.
Okay.
Right. So I would hire people like politicians or other journalists, or people who just wanted to help. Pay them a day rate, and we go out and I'm telling them this is the story I want to tell, and they go and help me cast the characters that I need and the people that I need to speak to, and we attempt.
Gotcha. Yo, when you went to the Ukraine, was it wilder or was it wilder than even you expected?
No, it's war.
Well, I understand that, but like with your background, you've been in a lot of fucked up situations around the world.
But I've never been to war out in the military. I never went to war in the military. I was on boats.
Okay.
I wasn't like one of these fucking, hard as nails Marines invading Iraq and Afghanistan, or, I would never take credit for something I never did like that. I never did that shit.
Right.
I photographed natural disasters while I was in. That's what I did.
Right.
Was in Puerto Rico when that got hit, Philippines, whatever.
Was there anything different about the dynamic doing that as a civilian? As
opposed
to...
I didn't have as much support as I thought I could get.
Okay.
And then you're in all these, and then you got to deal with what we call the war bros. These dudes who are war photographers who go over there and think their shit doesn't stink, and you have to deal with those guys, and they don't know who you are. So they're protective because they want to get the shot equally as much as you do, or whatever the fuck they're out there for. So you have to deal with the nuances of that. And, my thing is like, just, you be as nice to everyone as humanly possible until you can't be.
Right. And
at that point, just leave them alone, because you're not going to change their fucking mind.
Right.
And getting into a fight with them, isn't going to do anything. So you just move on, you make your photos, you let your work do the talking. You don't fucking peacock with people. So, yeah, it was wild. There was a lot of things I wasn't expecting. There was a lot of things I was naive to. There was a lot of things I learned. But you learn those things, you atone for the things that you wish you could have done better, and you move on and you learn from your mistakes.
Did you get involved at all in the Japanese chopper culture while you were there?
Dude, I was not into choppers at all when I lived in Japan. I lived 30 minutes from the Moon Eye show. It's the biggest regret of my life.
Dude.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild, man. So that wasn't even on your radar.
Nope.
Fuck.
I was too busy going to hardcore shows and fucking going clubbing and doing whatever the fuck, getting all my... I could drink in Japan at 20.
Okay.
So I was getting all my fucking crazy out.
Yeah, it's a good place to do it.
Took 10 years, but somewhere better now. But yeah, that was the deal there.
Yeah. God damn, man. So I'll get back to the book, man. We're jumping around like crazy here. But yeah, so what was some of the highlights of that trip, man? Was it solo and just touch and go with friends and people you wanted to meet up with along the way?
There was a lot of little runs. There was a lot of events. There was a lot of runs with my friends. And the only solo trip I did was a 7,000 miles solo on that blue bike. The reason I got into motorcycles, first and foremost, was I never owned a wrench until I was 22 years old. Never touched a wrench.
I think you told me that at dump trucks.
Yeah, never touched a wrench until I was 22 years old. And the idea was that maybe this thing could lead me to more independence in my life.
Okay.
So when I did that 7,000 miles solo, what I realized was that I am capable. It's not about being mechanically inclined. It's about being proficient enough to listen to when other people are speaking to you. It's about reading the material. It's about knowing your bike. It's about all these things. It's about relying on yourself at the end of the day, and that no one's coming to save you. So how do you get yourself out of the situations? It's taught me how to be more patient. It's taught me how to be more expeditious. It's taught me a lot of different things in my life that I think I was severely lacking.
Okay.
So, I'm proud of who I've become because of motorcycles.
Very cool. I'm assuming it's pretty much a lifetime addiction at this point.
I'd say so.
You're pretty fucking balls deep in it.
I probably won't be as... I don't know. I've pulled back a lot recently from going to shows or going to events, or I just like riding.
Yeah.
And I like concocting things in my head and coming up with ideas and different, bikes that I could get into, like, to pass the time. But for me, it's more like, everyone, and I don't believe everyone should own a motorcycle.
Dude, me too.
And I believe that for me, it is something that, I've made lifelong friends in, and I owe a lot to it. I just don't think some people are into it like that, which is fine, but and that's how we buy cheap bikes and flip them. But but I don't know, I just owe a lot to motorcycles, and I think I realized at some point that I was peacocking a little bit, trying to be like this guy and on the scene, and
right,
and it just drove me fucking crazy at the end of the day, and I've had to pull back a lot, because what I really do enjoy is just riding and hanging out with people who are my friends and not people who are party friends. Growing up a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I like that, man. There's been many years in my life where I fucking kissed all the events goodbye, and I mean, there's been many times where I've just hit the road coast
Yeah.
to coast solo. I only got social media with this podcast.
Right.
So I was kind of a ghost for years, man.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Social media
it's
is
the
a fucking
best, dude.
Social media is a fucking toxic wasteland.
It is, but it's unfortunate that it's the lifeblood of businesses now. But I agree. I'd be happy enough without it. You know, it's the lifeblood of this. You know, it's just the world we're living in, man.
I suppose, yeah, you can get with it or get lost, but
yeah,
you know,
you got to be relevant.
And I understand that. I mean, like, I have an acute addiction to social media, so it's like I understand.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to, but you know, trying and doing are two different things.
That makes the two of us.
Yeah. So it's like, but I think, you know, recently I've become more aware and conscious of it. So that's what's helping me now is like, okay, well, you know, I'm aware this is happening. So how do I not be this way?
Right.
You know, I stay pretty busy, so.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to manage because it is easy to just get fucking hooked, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. And, you know, it's not for everybody. It is for some people. And some people make beautiful careers off of it, and good for them.
Yeah.
But for me, I've found, you know, I'm trying to make more meaningful professional relationships, and I just don't think that's really possible on Instagram. Because it seems like everybody's trying to leapfrog over each other to the next best person.
Right.
That clout chase almost. So for me, it's I just don't give a fuck now. You know, I just, you know, I have meaningful relationships with editors, and I'm, you know, building a product outside of the internet. And I think that's equally important to when it's brought to the internet. It's more sustainable that way.
Okay. Yeah, what do you that's another one that I'm kind of fascinated with is guys that are wanting to start up these smaller zines now, like in a world of dying print media.
Yeah.
Like
it's like records.
Right.
You know, everybody wants a tape. That's the thing is I think, you know, we live in this digital age, and tangible things are just better. They last longer. They're on your mind more when you go over a rack. Like, I have a bookshelf in my room full of photo books that I'm inspired by. Mm-hmm. And it's nice because I don't look at them every day. I don't look at them every month. Sometimes I'll just pull one out, flip through it for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just maybe I'll see something that catches my eye, some inspiration. You can't do that with the internet because you're like, oh, what's that person's name? Oh, they changed their Instagram name. I can't find them anymore. And then it's just whatever.
Right.
You know, but if you have something physical, you have that. You own it. You have it.
Yeah.
And I don't like the internet for that reason.
Yeah, for sure. You can't put the internet on your fucking coffee table when you're gonna have a party.
Right.
Like,
right. You just can't.
You just can't do it.
You can't.
You know, and if you do want to dive into the internet at a party, it generally ruins the moment. And
I hate to tell you too, a lot of people just don't. You know, a lot of art galleries, for instance, just don't give a fuck how many followers they have. They want to be able to sell your work.
Right.
And sometimes it helps if you're like legitimately, but a lot of people buy their shit and it's shady and it's weird. So
do you say that as a bad thing? Like, meaning that they're not giving the artist their due exposure?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying what I mean is like, there's still areas of this world that you have to work for if you want to, you know, you have to show people a physical product in order to be someone.
Right. And you got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. And, you know, and I think Instagram is a lot of work, but it's like, I don't think that, you know, I don't like giving my photos out to people because they're very special, fond memories that I have that I might use for something else.
Right.
I try to give as many photos as I can, but there's a lot of photos in this book that people don't even know that I have of them. Right. And not in a bad way. Like, they're beautiful photos. Right. And I'll let them know when the time comes. But, like, you know, I don't think photography is for everyone. I don't think art is for everyone. I think everyone should have access to it.
Right.
But, you know, it's all style. You know, it's not. Some people just don't give a fuck, and that's fine.
Right.
My stuff is for people who care, and that's why I don't post all the time.
Right. Yeah, dude, I couldn't. No, it totally makes sense. I couldn't agree more. Not that I'm a photographer, but I always said if I wanted to be an Instagram whore, I'd probably have one of the cooler Instagrams out there. But I keep that shit too close to my heart, man. Like, moments like this. I mean, I have to post some photos when episodes come out and shit. But, like, I mean, for you as a photographer, you're kind of giving away tools in your toolbox if you're just giving out all these fucking photos. You know, you're showing your cards in a sense.
Right.
Like, and also, this is your love, dude. You have to hold it close to your heart.
Right.
You know, you can't just fucking water it down.
No.
You know, like,
because then, well, who the fuck is going to want to buy a book from me when they've seen all the photos on Instagram?
correct.
What the fuck is that about?
Correct.
You know, like, I want people to be surprised. I want people to feel giddy, to remember that moment again.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people don't agree with me, so that's fine.
No one's ever going to agree with you. Or anyone, for that
A majority
matter,
of people do not agree with me most times, so it's fine.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, when do you think this book is going to see the light of day?
Between 1 and 2 years from now.
Okay. But the submitted photographs are done already. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like you're
Well,
still making this book.
Kind of. I'm still making images, but, like, they have to be fucking stellar to get in the book now.
Okay.
Like, they have to be something that, like, I have, like, a very small shot list.
Yeah.
And if I get those, I'll be fucking happy, but I'm not really worried about it. Because the idea is not to convey, look at all these tough fucking bikers, blah, blah. I'm conveying the sensitivity behind it, the camaraderie behind it, the brotherhood behind it, the artistic nuance and ability behind it. The things that people don't fucking see. And unless you're in it and you're present, you'll never see.
Yeah.
So this is not a voyeurism project. This is something where I'm showing people something different. This is as if Danny Lyons continued the Bike Riders kind of deal. Like, how would that be conveyed in a way that's not 1%er related or like super violent, but, you know, how is this appropriate?
Right.
You know, to a modern world that's growing, and how is this flying in the face of technology?
Right. Dude, I think so many of those things that you had said, it's so fucking undervalued. It's so underestimated and overlooked. The importance of all this shit it's not really so much the motorcycle.
Right.
That all of that other stuff is the value, man.
Right.
I just, you know, I feel like just too many people overlook that.
They do. But I think, but that's fine. It's just like anything else. You know, you see a subculture from afar and you just see it for what it is. And you're like, oh, okay, well, there those guys go.
Right, right.
You know, whatever, man. But, you know, you learn about it, you grow with it, and you start to develop this feeling, you know, where it becomes more than that, you know, it becomes something that's really meaningful to you.
Yeah, yeah. I think all of that stuff too is so fucking important to our psyche as men. I don't know, man, there's just something, I don't know, it seems to hit something primal in me.
Well, it's, it kind of goes along, you know, I talk with Nick Rusty a lot about this, and it kind of goes along with Sebastian Junger's book on basically, like, Sebastian Junger wrote this book called Tribe, and it basically talks about how it's missing from modern society and why we need these tribes, why we need a group of people, the community behind it. And I'm infatuated with, like, you know, the idea of masculinity and what it really means, and, you know, not so much like terms people throw in, like toxic masculinity or, you know, or any other like derogatory term towards it, but what it
fuck
means.
Those people, what it actually means.
Well, you know, like, I understand what they're trying to say, but they're going about it in the wrong way, and, you know, it's understanding that, like, you know, we're not the victim, you know, a lot of the times, but there are, you know, there's a reason why men have a large suicide rate. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why, you know, a lot of men are bred to not talk about their feelings, to not open up. But you notice when there's groups of men who have large circles of friends, or not large circles, but meaningful circles of friends.
Right.
That's drastically reduced. There's other issues with it, but it's drastically reduced to where, you know, you have someone you can lean on. You have someone you can talk to. Mm-hmm. I think it's not so much that men don't want to talk about their feelings. I feel like they want to talk about someone who won't judge them for the way they feel. Right. Or won't see them as lesser than, or won't try to take advantage of them. I think that is something, you know, important.
Yeah.
You know, and like that could be a whole other conversation. But, you know, I never had that growing up.
Right.
I was a loner. I was bullied for most of my life. I was an overweight redhead kid. Like, during the time South Park's redhead episodes came out. Like,
no shit.
Not a great time in my life.
Right.
But I survived it.
Right.
Through a lot of depression and through a lot of alone time. That's when I found skateboarding, and that's when I really grew with that. And I felt like I found this community that understood me. You know, I was like one of 3 kids in my town who skateboarded, and then I moved to another town that had a skate park, and then I actually grew with people that I liked.
Right. Would you say that was a pivotal time, is when you got to go to a place with a skate park and find more of your people?
Well, I always grew up around skate parks. I would always go to them, but being 5 minutes from one, that was super pivotal. That's why I say I'm from Indiana, because that's where I grew up a lot. That's where I truly grew up a little bit.
When you first met Ben Jeff, did he have his shop yet?
So that's not actually, that shop does not belong to Ben. That belongs to Rick Swadner, his mentor.
Oh.
And he was around, but he wasn't working out of the shop yet.
Okay.
Rick is a legend. Rick's the guy who built this bike.
Okay.
And old drag bike dude. You know, he's got kids my age. But he's just like one of those guys who wants to pass down his knowledge, wants to show you, wants to build cool fucking bikes. It's just unfortunate he doesn't get the credit he deserves a lot of the time. That's why whenever I get a chance to yell his fucking names, I'll shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
He's just the fucking best, dude. Like, he didn't really want to do this 3 years ago, but I bullied him and we made it happen. And he, you know, there's a lot of him in this bike, so it's really fucking cool.
It's so fucking rad, man. Another underestimated thing in this world, I think, is swing arm choppers. It's like a bike like this.
Well, I wouldn't even call this a chopper. What would you call it? It's a hot rod. It's a hot rod. It's a muscle bike.
Dude,
it's a swing arm muscle bike.
Are terms I use that I don't know why fucking that doesn't get picked up more.
Well, it
hot
does.
Rod motorcycles,
but
man.
it's something that's coming back around thanks to people like Ben Jeff, thanks to Rick Swadner, thanks to
You seen Mikey from Nine Figures, his shovelhead?
Yeah, Mikey's is great. I saw it at Mama Tried. It's fucking incredible. Until we went other ways, I was gonna have him make some struts, but I kind of fell off. Sorry, dog. But my buddy Christian Wren, fucking insane stroker panhead. That's super tough. There's a lot of people I'm really influenced by. Carlo, David Carlo, I believe or was it David Carlo? Who was the guy who, Scott Johnson just bought his bike. He was at,
oh, fuck.
Wasn't David, it's not David Carlo, sorry.
No.
Sorry, David.
It's like a hardcore New York City bike.
Yeah, but I'm inspired by old Hells Angels bikes. I'm inspired by...
Something with a P, man. Oh, this is gonna kill me.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna look it up real quick because I want to give proper credit.
I got a picture. I took a picture of the sign.
Well, Scott Johnson just bought it.
Yes, yeah. I just saw it. Something with a P.
Of course, my internet doesn't work out here.
Fuck, dude. I would go on mine. I would just scroll through my pictures.
Yeah, but
I got the camera rolling.
Godspeed, dude. His Instagram's Godspeed. Cicero. His name's Cicero. His name's Cicero.
Yes.
Cicero's bike. But I'm inspired by all of that.
Yeah. Did you have Hells Angels? You had mentioned that club in your area growing up?
Nope. I didn't grow up around bikers.
Well, I mean, as a kid, you see one while you're driving with your parents or something.
Nope. I mean, Indiana was not until recently a Hells Angel territory as outlaws, but there was no chapter in our hometown.
Okay. But the club style is another thing that really influenced you.
I love club style, but I found out through a lot of Dice and other people and
Vibes magazine.
Acquaintances.
You ever get your hands on Vibes?
I've never got my hands on Vibes.
Okay.
But that humongous custom cycle dude is just insane. And a lot of people, I'm just inspired by a lot of different things. I'm inspired by paintings. I'm inspired by music. I'm inspired by motorcycles. Owlboy and I talked a lot about this bike, and a lot of my, people that I really respect, and I talked about this bike, and we went through a lot of changes, but it ended up working out in the end.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, 3 years worth, you said, right?
2 years of thinking and 3 years of action. So 5 years, technically.
God damn. Yeah, I think you fucking nailed it.
Thank you.
God damn.
Yeah. A lot of friends in this build.
Fuck
A lot of people I really love and respect in this build.
Was a lot of that time parts collecting, or?
Probably about 2 years parts collecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started, I bought, my buddy Andrew won a Grossman raffle bike. And it was a generator shovel with a bunch of cool shit on it. But I sold all the parts but the motor and the title. And I used that money to basically fund a lot of this bike. And I bought my frame from Ben Jeff. I had John at Hardtail Choppers make me some stainless drop seat castings and a windowed single down tube neck. And then Ben added a stainless top and forward motor mount for it to complete it. And then bought some stuff off Oliver Jones, Cal Products 4-speed case. I was unmolested, that had never even been drilled, so Rick got that up. And then a bunch of speed parts from Reese Zylstra, and more stuff from Ben Jeff, kicker pedal, and then a bunch of different characters involved in this. But Rick was the main guy who did a lot of the fabrication. He did all the oil lines. He rebuilt the motor from the crank up. It's this 93-inch dual plug generator shovel with a Super E and a Thunderjet on it. And
it's fucking rad, dude.
He's got
There's so much little shit. You just keep looking, even just down to the hardware on the shop.
Oh, it's all 12-point ARP hardware as well.
Fuck,
with all performance machine braking. It's the 2-piston style in the front and the rear with a panhead swing arm, chrome 9-spoke mags. We tried to make it look as stock and as far away as stock as possible. So when you see me on the road, you're just like, oh, there goes a stock shovel head with some weird shit on it. Then you get up close. I wanted to look good from 5 inches away, not 5 feet away.
Right. Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those bikes you could look at all day and keep picking shit up on. Yeah.
And then we, Sunset and I came up with this custom primary that's a half-inch wider than normal primaries, but then to fit a 2-inch belt drive inside of it. But then on top of it, we made the cover a mix between a 60s shovel head primary and a Sportster primary cover.
Okay.
So it's got the Sportster stripe with the shovel head circle on the rear.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the primary is a wild one, man. It's it's just...
Yep. And everything was show polished by Al Fields in Virginia at Ice House Polishing. That dude is fucking insane.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I never met him, but I do follow him on Instagram.
Yeah. He's the best, dude. He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a fun bike, man.
Fuck yeah. You had said you have several Instagram accounts?
I have 2.
Oh, okay.
So I have my journalism one, which is linked through my Chopper Chug one.
Is the journalism one, what's the name of it?
Liam N. Kennedy. N is in November. Yeah.
Okay. Is the journalism one completely separate from motorcycles and it's your other work?
Absolutely.
Traveling the world and...
Well, I don't really travel the world so much per se, but I do document a lot of other things. That's where a lot of my other photography comes out, storytelling and fine art and whatever I want to post kind of deal. But it's less motorcycles. So if anybody wants a reprieve from motorcycles, you can go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of art galleries and stuff, do you find Nashville to be a good city for that? Is there a lot of that going on here?
I'm still navigating that landscape.
Okay.
I'm actually sending portfolios into several galleries today to see if we can start getting something rolling. But I am repped by a guy named Nick Kloutman in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he handles a lot of that. Recently, I just got, I'm in Heart of Gold Gallery in South Carolina, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
Cool. Is it like a 1-month thing with all of your work, or just
no? You
a
can
piece
buy
or
you can
two?
buy my photography through there.
Okay.
So I have this giant 44 by 40 print hanging in their window, 44 inches.
Yeah.
So like larger
It's
than
like 4 foot.
Yeah,
Almost. Yeah.
Almost 4 foot. 4 foot by 3.5 foot. Fucking poster basically hanging in there, but it's a fine art print.
What is it of?
It's of Josh Kahn racing a flathead on the beaches in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But he's doing this donut, and it's really cool photograph.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's got a lot of good photographs out there. He's a very animated guy.
He's easy to photograph.
Yeah.
He's easy to photograph. Super nice guy. Quiet, super easy to photograph. He's one of those people, like, there's not a lot of bad photos of him out there because he's about it.
Yeah, he's super photogenic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. Do you ever plan on owning a gallery for yourself? Is that another goal of yours?
I never really thought about it. I don't know. I kind of would like to not do that. I'd like to continue being repped by other people because it's just easier. Like journalism work is through Redux Pictures. My fine art stuff is through Nick Kloutman. And, you know, the ideal thing is eventually I'll have a nice house one day where I'll have a nice garage with a separate photo space in there that I can kind of do my own thing in. But right now it's, you know, I have a garage I can kind of do minimal work out of. I can, you know, hang out, enjoy my time. I have a printer out in San Diego that I absolutely love, Searchers Press. I found him through Mikey Revolt. His name's Dan. He's awesome. But I don't know. I just day by day at this point.
Dude, this is a nice house, though.
I love it.
It's not like you're living in a shithole.
Oh, no. I would never want people to think that.
This is a nice place, dude.
We had to do a lot of work, and I'm really grateful to my friends, like my boys at Artisan Construct. And, you know, a lot of those guys are my friends, and when they found out I bought a house, they offered up their services. So, you know, it's crazy if you pay your friends to come over and do what they get paid to do, and shit gets knocked out in 6 weeks, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, that happened, and we did a 6-week renovation to the downstairs because the guy smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day in it. And it had probably 6 layers of lead-based paint and wallpaper everywhere. The floors were all fucked up. It was a nightmare. Like, a bunch of structural damage that we had to fix. And, you know, we were in here. They'll say something more about them, or and I know this because it was me. I thought I was going to impress people. And it changed for me eventually. Right. But that's how it felt. And I think that maybe, you know, if you do it for you, it's a little bit better. Right. It's just about how you go about it, I think. And it's not so serious. It doesn't matter. It's just like, I get it if you feed your family with it and, you know, making bikes and whatever, that's great. But, like, again, man, nothing in life is so serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at it more of the aspect of, like, you're putting someone's life on the line. But in terms of the serious thing or the cool guy thing, I agree. That's
why it's not so serious.
It should be very relaxed.
When you're on the road with a group of people, you need to be vigilant and watching out for each other. But at the same point, it's like, that's why not everything's so serious, because you know what the worst day could be. Right. You know what the worst day could be. But the idea is like, okay, well, today is not the worst day, so I'm having a good day instead.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that perspective is, I think, what more people need, man. It's like, man, life is pretty good if you're waking up breathing.
True that.
Like, you could change it.
Amen to that.
You could change it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I have more of those days some days than not, but, you know, I don't know. It's just manifesting it, man.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You want to end on that?
Sure.
Want to tell people where to reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram at ChopperChug or at Liam N as in Nancy Kennedy. You know, you can find different ways to contact me on there. I try to answer as many DMs as I can. But yeah, I probably won't answer all your photo related questions because you can find that stuff on YouTube, but if you got good photo books and you got good recommendations you want to send me, I'll send you some of mine.
Yep. Also, do you have a name for the book yet? Maybe something people could watch out for in the future?
Shakedown.
Shakedown. Okay, cool. Fuck yeah, man. Go find him. And I look forward to seeing Shakedown, dude.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to throw in a fucking copy on my coffee table.
Fuck yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Liam, thank you for your time, man. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And see you guys next week.